So I reckon I've probably got around 15 minutes left. Hi folks, and welcome back to another fly fishing video. So you join me here at Albury Estates on Weston Lakes, and what are we going to do today? Well, a couple of weeks back I put a picture of a fly on Facebook. Now it wasn't really a trout fly and it wasn't really a pike fly, and I only posted it to let people see that actually we don't all tie perfect flies all the time. So this was too small to be a real predator fly, and it was too big really to be a trout fly. But after a lot of laughs in the comment sections, I thought, wouldn't it be good fun to set myself a challenge to see if I can catch a trout with this fly? So without further ado, let's get into it. What are the rules going to be then? Well, it's going to be fairly straightforward. It's going to be difficult to film this challenge by myself, but I'm going to do my best for you. So basically what I've done is on my iPhone I've set a timer for 1 hour, and that time won't start until I'm ready to make my first cast. So what am I going to use to try and achieve this challenge? Well, basically I've got a competition special, which would 10 foot for a 7 rod. It's quite a stiff action rod, and the reason I've chosen this rod today is because I'm going to be throwing this big fly, or big for a trout fly, it's fairly big. Now I've coupled that with an intermediate line. Now before doing the challenge I did hum and haw whether I would have more versatility with a floater or should I just go straight for the intermediate. Now when I've fished big flies in the past at small still waters, I've always found they fare better on the intermediate line, so that's what I've chosen to fish with today. Now what I've done is I've got about 10 foot of fluorocarbon. It's Hanak and it's 8-pound breaking strain. Because I've only got the one fly, you can't possibly tie 2 of these. I don't want to lose it in a tree. If that happens, I've lost the challenge, and I'll fess up to that straight away. So how am I going to film it? It's not going to be easy, I've got to be honest. So what I thought was I would put a chest cam on so that you can see me fishing, and I would have my other camera at the side so you can also see me fishing. Now I don't know quite how this is going to work, but I'm going to try my best, and then we'll see if we've got a video by the end of it. I'm wandering up to the lake now. I've got to say I'm a little nervous. I think this could well be folly. I'm just getting the other camera set up, and I've got my landing net here that I'm going to use as a stripping basket. Now let's get the old timer up, and there you go, you can see there it's 1 hour. So wish me luck folks, and I'm going to get started. Will take a little bit of time just for the line to get wet and the fly to get wet. I can see it floating on the surface. Obviously there's only a small brass bead at the front of this fly. It's not sinking it down particularly well, so I'm really pleased that I did go for the intermediate line. Now I see it in the water, it doesn't look too bad. I'm also pleased that I've opted for the stiffer action rod, because once it's wet the fly is quite heavy, and I need that weight forward line in the fast action rod just to get that fly working. So the first couple of casts are going to be all about just getting into the battle rhythm, and what I want to do, I've started at the top of the wind so the casting's a little easier for me. Now I can't afford to spend too much time in one place, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fan cast and give myself the maximum opportunity to cover fish. Now the fly's still sitting on the water when I initially cast it out. You can see it there just making quite a disturbance on the surface. Now, what gives me some hope that this challenge might succeed is that I've tied the hook in at the very tail of the fly. So even if a curious trout comes up in behind and just tries to tail nip it, there's every possibility that I might hook that up. I've just put a cast in along the margins here. Sometimes you can get patrolling trout close in at the edge looking for an early meal. Surprisingly, we've had a lot of rain down south here. It's been not much fun, I've got to be honest. But the lake here, Western Lake, it's absolutely crystal clear. So I can see the fly coming back from quite a distance out. And all I'm doing retrieve-wise at the moment is, because of the size of the fly, I don't think a particularly slow retrieve's going to work for me. So I'm just jerking it back, mixing it up, and hoping to entice that aggressive nature of the trout into getting a take. Now, I'm quite high up from the water, and I can see my fly coming back. You might not be able to see that on camera, but I can see it fairly well. I've just seen a fish jump to my right, and I'm going to cover that area. So my fly's landed pretty much just on where the fish jumped. I'm going to give the line 3 or 4, maybe 6 seconds to just get under the water a little bit. Just a sort of 1 foot retrieve at a time. I'm going to bring it all the way into the bank. Very often, fish will follow all the way right to the last minute and then take your fly. No joy that time, but I'm going to keep going. I thought I might have got some action from that last cast, especially when I seen the fish jumping. I thought I might have been in with a chance, but it may well be that this fly is just a little on the large side for these fish. They might not want to take it on. I wouldn't like to meet it on a dark night. So I've tied it in a kind of, as you would tie a predator fly. So although it looks big, there isn't really that much material, hence it's having that problem sinking. When it hits the water, it is lying on the surface initially. But it does look good in the water, I've got to say. I'm going to have another couple of casts before I think a move is in order. And as I've not got much time, what I think I'm going to do is try and do it as methodically as I can. If I don't get any action straight away, I'm going to keep bouncing round and moving as much as possible. And where I'm going to lose time is moving the camera. So the camera that's filming to my right, my left here, sorry, I'm going to have to cart that around as well as carting my my fishing tackle. But I just think it probably gives it'll give the video a bit more perspective. Okay, it's time for a move. I'm not going to move far, but I am going to make a move. And to save myself a little bit of time, I'm going to just carry my line in my net here to the next location. So now the fly's wet, I don't know how well you can see, it doesn't look like it's even been swimming, but let's get moving. Nearly went on my arse there. Guys, if you watched one or two of the videos, please think about subscribing to the channel. It really helps the algorithm pick up the videos and will help the channel grow. From my analytics, I can tell that 72% of people that are watching my videos are not subscribed. So I'd really appreciate your support if you could just click that subscribe button and smash the bell for future notifications of new videos. I'm just a little bit wary. I'm looking behind me and there's an awful lot of trees, and as I said earlier, I have only got the one fly, so I've just really got to be careful that I don't scupper myself in this challenge by losing the flies in the trees. Now again, I've just seen another fish. I know this time of year the Albury Estates stock with Spartic trout, and there's every chance that one of them could strike this fly. At the moment, I'm just not sure that my fly's getting deep enough. So during the colder months, what trout tend to do at these small fisheries, they'll sit nearer the bottom of the lake and forage for food on that bottom. You will see them up occasionally. If some small insects are hatching up, they will come up occasionally. But I suspect these fish, I thought I had a take there, but I can't be sure. It might have just been me catching my line. I'm going to put a cast in a similar sort of position. Just come this side of the net. I'm just giving my intermediate line time to sink, so that when I drag the fly down, it is getting down under the surface with 2 or 3 feet, because currently, and I think you might be able to see on the camera, I'm currently just not getting any depth with my fly. Okay, I'm going to have one more chuck here, and then I think it's time for another move. Got to cover the water when you've only got limited time. I haven't got time to muck about. I've got to get water covered. On saying that, I have just seen another fish rise out. Okay, time to move again, folks. Now the ground's quite slippy underfoot, there's been a lot of rain, so as much as I want to make haste, I am aware that I've got to take my time a little bit and be careful not to slip. So I've brought myself round into a position now where I'm actually casting into the wind. Now, casting into the wind with a big fly is not much fun, I've got to tell you, but I have seen a couple of fish moving in that area, and I want to maximise my chances of catching them, so needs must. Now, one of the things I was saying to you as I've been fishing here is one of my concerns is I'm not getting depth quick enough. So what I'm going to do to try and help myself out a little bit is to shorten my leader by about 3 feet. Now what this will do is get the intermediate line working that little bit quicker. Now when you're fishing at these small still waters, what you've got to bear in mind is they're generally quite heavily stocked, so you can rest assured that you are putting your fly past some fish. Now I'm just going to try a slow roly-poly. I'm hoping that adjustment to my leader length is going to make a little bit of a difference. Because at the moment, when the fly's coming back to me, I can see it's little more than half a foot under the water, which is not really where I want the fly to be. That's much better now. I can see that it's fishing a good 3 to 4 feet down, and that's where I want it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to spend the next few casts fan casting the area. So I'll be able to cover all this water from my left of arc all the way around to my right of arc here. If I get no joy, I'll make another move. Now, I'm sure I've done many videos here at Albury Estate, and I'm sure you're all aware that this is a catch and kill lake, but I have had special dispensation from the fishery staff to release any fish here today, if I am lucky enough to catch one, I might add. Now, the hook I've got on this fly is barbless, so there'll be minimal damage to the fish, and hopefully once I've got him in the net, he'll be going straight back. So not so much as a follow so far. Now I've not looked at my my phone, but I think I've maybe had about 15 minutes already. It's amazing when you put yourself under a little bit of pressure how fast the time goes. But I've never been afraid of failure, and I might be staring that right down the barrel today. Now this is the Witchwood fast intermediate, but for my money at the moment it's not fast enough. I should have maybe opted for a DI3 line or something a little quicker, but this has taken a wee while to get my fly to the required depth, and obviously that means it's eating into my time. Now I'm just going to bring my fly in for inspection, because I suspect, nope, it's good, it's all good. So the hook's there at the back, and the fly in the water looks absolutely amazing, but it's still not producing any follows or any takes. Now when I've cast my line out, although I am counting it down, I've ensured that I've got direct contact to my fly. So my rod's quite close to the water, I can see my line, it's a little slack there, but I'm just slowly figurating just in case something comes and takes it right off the surface. And if that happens, I'll be in immediate contact with it. Now while I'm waiting on my line sinking, I'm just going to have a quick look at the time. See how I'm getting on. Not good, I don't think. So I'm nearly halfway through my time, and I've still not had even a follow or a take. So I think it's time for another move. So nearly 30 minutes in, and no encouragement from the fish. Again, I'm going as quick as I dare on this slippy ground. Now my retrieves have all been a little quick thus far, and I'm just wondering if it may be that the trout want it a little bit slower. I'm concerned that I'm not fishing at the right depth, in a hurry to probably try and achieve the challenge. But what I'm going to do now is slow everything down, and just figure eight it back. Now the trouble with these big lures, I've got no confidence in retrieving them at this pace really. I think their success is in the action of their movement, and the speed in which they're retrieved plays a big part in that. When you're only bringing it back very slowly, you're not getting that movement from the tail. But I do think by doing this I will be getting my flies on the deck, which flies should I say. I'm so used to fishing a team elsewhere. And again, I'm going to cover the water in front of me before looking to move. I have got every advantage today. The fishery's not very busy, which is allowing me just to bounce from peg to peg, which should really help with the challenge. Now I've given myself an hour to succeed with this challenge, and that's a lot more time than I would give myself if I was just pleasure fishing. If you're not getting any action after 20 minutes or so, it's either time for a move or it's time to change tactics. And I've had no encouragement with this whatsoever, so I don't feel like I'm flogging a dead horse. Now I'm going to keep going to the end, but it is I do feel like I'm up against it at this point. It might well be that the trout are just not on the feed at the moment. The water's very cold, it is still morning, so the sun's not quite reached its height in the sky, but maybe I'm just making excuses, and this fly needs to be in the bucket. That's my secondary camera's just packed up the battery. That's GoPro for you. The batteries don't last any time at all. But I'm going to keep going with the chest camera and see if we cannot get this challenge won. Now I've got to say, at this part of the lake, I don't think I've ever caught a fish here. So I'm going to give it just a very short amount of time to see if there's anything in front of me. Okay, I'm going to take a bit of a gamble now, and I'm going to go right round the outside. It's going to eat into my time a little, but I'm going to cross to the other bank. I did see a fish just opposite that bench, and I think that might be my best chance to succeed. So I'll do my best to get round there as quick as I can and try and get the one fish I'm after. I don't want to go on my arse, so I'm just picking. I'm going best speed, but trying to be careful as well. So I reckon I've probably got around 15 minutes left. God, I'm going to be exhausted. I'm well out of shape. That's a fearsome wind coming down the lake now. Oh. Now, of course, just because you've seen a fish on the surface doesn't mean you're going to be able to catch it. And I've just noticed now I'm round here, I see a few small ducks and the like, so I hope I haven't misidentified a rise, and I think I have. With a small duck. Now I know the lake fairly well here, and the peg I'm on now, the Last Chance Saloon I think we'll call it, is there is a very deep section in front of me, but it is further out. You need to cast quite far to reach that section, and very often, certainly in the high summer, the fish can be in that little dip in the bed of the lake. So I've just taken off a little bit more line. The wind should be able to help me, and with any luck we might luck into a fish. Now if there'd been any pike in this lake I'd be hoping to maybe entice one or two up. So I'm just going to risk another quick look at the watch to see how we're going, and I've got just a little over 10 minutes. So I've really got to make the most of this peg. I'm going to try fan casting around, although that might be difficult in the way the wind is now. It is starting to gust a bit. But I'm going to try slow retrieves, I'm going to mix my retrieve up, I'm going to try roly-poly, everything I can think of to try and get a take in this last 10 minutes. When I was thinking about this challenge, I wondered what would be a fair amount of time, and an hour seemed ample when I was thinking about it, but now I'm here, I'm thinking, wow, that's gone quick. 10 minutes to go, still no fish yet. So I've just got in touch with my fly, and I'm going to start. So last time I had a pretty slow retrieve. This time I've allowed the fly to sink, and I'm going to bring it back at pace with a roly-poly retrieve. Every now and again I'll stop, and sometimes that's just when the trout will hit it. So you might have got their curiosity with the speed of the retrieve, and then just at the end when you've stopped, that's when they could hit the fly. So what we'll try this time is mixing the retrieve up a little. So I'm going to add pools, figure of 8, pools, figure of 8. Now I've still got my rod pointing towards the water, so I'm in direct contact with the fly. So if anything even comes in to nip the tail, I'll be able to hit it. I thought that was a take there, but it might well have been the fly catching on the bottom. Just going to jig it in a little, just in case there is a following trout. I don't see any weed, but with barbless, the weed comes off pretty much straight away. 7 minutes and 21 seconds left on the timer. The battery on my chest cam gave up the ghost, so I had to go back to the car. I've changed the batteries over, and no, I wasn't going back to get the defibrillator after running around that lake. I'm going to press play, and we've got 7 minutes left to try and catch this fish. And there we go. And now my line seems to have caught in some weed. So I need to get my flies back out here. 7 minutes is a world of time when you're fishing. It only takes a minute to hook up to a fish. So I've not given up hope yet. There's still a little bit of time. While I've been to the car and come back, changed the batteries over on both cameras, the wind seems to have died a little bit, which makes it much more pleasant to fish. but I'm just wondering if it's encouraged the fish to come on a little bit. Worryingly, there's only another one angler that I can see, and he's up at the little pond. And in hindsight's a great thing. Perhaps I should have centred my challenge around the smaller of the two ponds. Weston itself's a rather big lake, and I think it was maybe a bridge too far for me to cover the water, but it is what it is. Now I think that's a good cast, that's a winner, that's the one. Now in my head I'm just counting to 10, and then I'm going to start a slow roly-poly retrieve back, and then every now and again I'm just going to pick up the pace of that, and then I'll slow it down again and then pick up the pace. And sometimes this can imitate a wounded fish that's maybe trying to escape a predator, and perhaps something will come and try and finish it off. I hope so. Now as I get to the end of my retrieve, I'm just taking my time, bringing the fly back just in case something's following. Ah, that's not what you need when you're limited for time. Got a little knot in my line here. It's funny, when you're pleasure fishing you don't seem to notice these little hindrances, but when you put yourself under a little bit of time pressure, every little snag and every little miscast, you really feel it, especially as the clock's running down. It's just in these last few minutes you've just got to, and I've learned this from match fishing really, when you know, especially after an 8-hour match, often, especially on the very hard days, you'll get one chance, and it'll come when you're tired and you've been working really hard all day, you know, 7 hours 50 minutes, you're just thinking about getting back to the harbour in time for the hooter, and that's when you get that one chance. And if you're not concentrating, you miss that chance and you go in with a dry net. So it's important to concentrate to the very end. I'm getting my fly pretty steadily into that channel that I'm aiming for, and I'm just not getting any interest. I think I might have had one take on the other bank, and other than that it's been slim pickings with this fly, which is a great shame. I did think, you know, as much as I was smiling when I thought this up, I thought, oh, I'll be in with a chance, I will be in with a chance. But as the clock runs down, I'm not so sure that's the case anymore. I'm just popping my flies into different areas now, just trying anything I can really to save the blank. And there's the hooter, folks, that's it, it's all over. Well, that's the end of the challenge. So, did I do anything wrong? I don't think so. I think I did what I could. If I'd started with a floating line, I might have had a little bit more option, but as I said throughout the video, I did feel that the fly was fishing too high in the water. Even with the intermediate line, I didn't think the fly was getting down deep enough. Now, I tried all different things, so I didn't change the fly. It was a 1 hour challenge with one fly. Oops, sorry, I don't know why it did that. But I didn't catch any fish. I might have had one take, maybe, and that's a very slim maybe. I'm a bit disappointed, but you know, if you don't stretch yourself and try these things, I might have been on to the next best thing, and I'm clearly not, for trout anyway. I'm going to put this fly away in my pocket and save it for the zander. I've blanked on them as well in the past, and I'm sure it's probably in the post again this year. Typical. So I didn't want to go home empty-handed. I've just changed to an Apps Bloodworm. First cast. And there we go. Can't be having the new year starting off with a blank.